do want to really quickly, let's touch on this first, because this interview has gone everywhere. You had an interview you sat down with Vice, and well, let's roll the clip.
Do you think men and women can work in the workplace together?
I don't know.
Without sexual harassment?
We'll see.
We'll see. How many years will it take for men and women working in the workplace together?
More than 40.
To get a sense.
We don't know what the rules are. Like, what? Here's a rule.
Don't
How about no makeup in the workplace?
Why would that be a rule?
Why should you wear makeup in the workplace? Isn't that sexually provocative?
No.
It's not?
No.
Well, what is it then? What's the purpose of makeup?
Some people would like to just put on makeup.
Why?
I don't know why.
Why do you make your lips red? Because they turn red during sexual arousal. That's why. Why do you put rouge on your cheeks? Same reason.
I mean, look.
How about high heels?
What are they
for?
What about high heels?
What about them? They're there to exaggerate sexual attractiveness. That's what high heels do. Now, I'm not saying that people shouldn't use sexual displays in the workplace. I'm not saying that.
The media said.
But I am saying that that is what they're doing. And that is what they're doing.
Do you feel like a serious woman who does not want sexual harassment in the workplace, do you feel like if she wears makeup in the workplace that she is somewhat being critical?
Yeah.
Now, I love the reason I wanted to show the context is because you this is not what I'm saying. And of course, as you know, the media went on to say that's what you were saying. I even saw some.
Yeah, well, it's not. The thing is, you don't get to think. That's part of the problem, and that's part of the problem with restrictions on free speech. Is like thinking requires the contemplation of uncomfortable ideas. That is what thinking is.
Right.
And so I was putting forward a thought. It's like, what are the rules? Like, and the reason that I was doing that, well, he was a remarkably annoying interviewer.
I was going to say, he didn't seem exactly like someone you'd enjoy spending a ton of time with.
Well, he was, yes, yes, I would say that's the case.
Have you talked with him since at all?
No.
Good.
And so I was a bit more short-tempered than maybe would have been optimal. But
I disagree.
No,
I disagree, if I may express this, because I heard Joe Rogan say that. I think you've earned the right to be when someone is being that silly, that confrontational, and that incapable of answering questions. You ask
He puts his rouge on for him.
Yes, he puts his rouge on for him, damn it. I think, I don't think so. Because I've seen both sides of you. I know you don't enter into a conversation looking for that. It's kind of like the one Change My Mind video that I did recently where a guy just came in and started screaming, why don't we teach men not to rape? And I said, yes, who are you arguing with? I would say don't be hard on yourself. I know some people have criticized you. I think you've earned the right to be. That guy was a little bit dickish, but continue.
Well, I've thought a lot about workplace behavior. And I mean, there is a reason that men wear suits.
Yeah.
They wear suits so they all look the same, basically. It's an indication that they're all playing the same game. And we don't know what the rules are governing behavior in the workplace, and sexual behavior, say. Like, it isn't my feeling that NBC is correct when they've decided to ask their employees to report on one another if there are office romances. I actually think that's a bad idea. And I would like to think that we could be mature enough so that perhaps women could wear makeup to work and, men could wear suits that exaggerated their shoulders a bit and trimmed themselves at the hip, Yeah. Maybe that would be okay. But I don't see any evidence in our current behavior that we're mature enough to handle any of that.
Can I ask you a question?
And we can't even talk about it.
Yeah, well, let me ask you a question. And this is a genuine question because I thought about this with the interview, and I'm wondering if there's an example that I can't think of. But I watched it, and I thought, okay, he's asking the question here. He said, we don't know the rules. It's only been about 40 years. It's a short-term experiment. Now, other people will say, oh, we've had 40 years. You go, oh, in the realm of human history, I mean, that's nothing. That's less than the distance between Germany acting up again. And I was sitting there going, hold on a second. Let me actually think about this. Of course, you think of high school, you think of private schools, wherever, any instance where young men and young women are together, romantic relationships develop, a sexual tension develops. That happens in the workplace today. That happens on film sets. We hear about that all the time. Is there any instance...
Happens on our sets.
Yeah. Is there any historical example of, I guess, sort of an ecosystem, human, I should say. Let's limit it to humans here, where humans...
no lobsters.
Yes, no lobsters, despite putting them on Zoloft. Is there any historical example of humans, co-ed, thrust into the same... men and women without there being sexual relationships and interactions. I couldn't think
Well,
of
there's
any.
been attempts to make that happen. I mean, I mentioned this in the Vice interview. Like, there were unisex uniforms for the Maoists, right? Because the idea, and that this went along with the radical leftist viewpoint, was that the overt differences between men and women should be minimized, hence comrade, and to exactly eradicate the intrusion, let's say, of individual sexuality into the collective workplace.
I think it didn't work since there are 9 billion of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to go ahead with that line of questioning. But
Okay.
no, what? You can't take sex out of things. It's really hard.
Right.
Now, and that means we have to have a hard conversation about it. And it's not like there's any real consensus on this. My sense is that stable monogamy is the least catastrophic solution.
Yes, I think that's
right.
Yeah.
And well, because what's the old joke? Life is a sexually transmitted disease with 100% fatality rate.
I don't think that's an old joke, but
it's a rough one. Eh?
Yeah, it's a little more
An old
modern.
psychiatrist
I think you
told
just
me
came up with
Yeah.
that just now.
I think Jordan Peterson's
Yeah.
trying to attribute it to someone else when it came out of that noggin.
Yeah,
No.
well, it's rough, man. So a lot of these problems are intractable.
Yeah.
How to regulate sexual behavior. It's like that's like how to raise children. These are really hard problems.
Right.
But it would be nice if we could have a mature discussion about it. But we can't, because we can't even think about it. I said, well, maybe women shouldn't wear makeup. I didn't say women shouldn't wear makeup. Those are actually very different statements. It's
Right.
like, here's a possibility within the realm of possibilities. We could discuss it in the abstract and see what we conclude. Oh no, we can't do that, because that's just too close to reality.
Actually, I would say one thing. You didn't even say maybe women shouldn't wear makeup. He asked you, are you saying they shouldn't wear makeup? And you said, maybe. You answered maybe. You didn't answer in a definitive yes or no because you wanted to explore the thought process. It wasn't even necessarily something that you brought forward as a solution. So I think that's even more important, because he was asking a question that he didn't know the answer to, and effectively you were saying you didn't know the answer to. What's wrong with that?
You trip over unconscious taboos.
Right.
And sometimes conscious taboos. And that's the same problem. This idea that you don't have the right to say anything offensive. It's like, okay, well, how many people are you talking to? Well, let's say I don't have the right to offend you. Okay, fair enough. What if I'm talking to 1,000 people? Do I not have the right to offend one of them? What if it's 1,000,000 people?
Right.
I mean, there isn't a single thing I could possibly say about anything that wouldn't offend one person in, I would think, probably 10, but certainly 1,000.
Yeah.
It's like, so what does that mean? So that means you don't get to say anything.
Right.
Even platitudes. I'm offended by how full of platitudes your last utterance was.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And that can be offensive, if you listen to someone do nothing but spout off platitudes, it's like, oh my God, you can roll your eyes and walk away.
I didn't use the Oxford comma the other day. People were really pissed.
It's true.
Well, there you go, and it's certainly not the case that you can discuss anything seriously without offending someone. It's like the definition of a serious conversation is one that is likely to offend a large number of people. That's what characterizes seriousness.
Right. No, that's a good way of putting it. I think a big part of it is we can't agree on fundamental truths when everything is relative. That's why you want to watch postmodernism burn itself alive. We had a feminist on the show yesterday who said, I don't really believe in the biological differences of men and women. And she said this after talking about transgenderism. And she really didn't know how to respond when I followed up. I won't go into it. People can watch the video. But if you say there are no biological differences between men and women, I wanted to be civil, so I didn't, but I almost said, really? You think you can do as many push-ups as Not Gay Jared? I mean, come on. Let's stop with the silliness. But they have to keep this facade up. Let me ask you this. As someone who works in the industry, how long did they conduct this interview with you, and how much was seen?
Oh, 2 hours?
Okay. Because they released, what, a half hour?
Oh, I haven't paid much attention. I think maybe in total they've released something like 20 minutes, yeah.
Because it seemed very odd. And as someone who watches films, and I pick up obviously we constantly doing, oh, there's an inconsistency there. Oh, look at the shot. His finger's in the trigger. Now he's cocking the camera back. I saw someone, I was going, hold on a second. That doesn't sound like he's responding to that question, certainly not in that time frame. So you haven't watched it, so you wouldn't be able to speak to that, but I'm sure you probably know that did take place.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, yeah. I know that that's taken place. And I know that fans have made videos or viewers have made videos analyzing the edited version with the longer versions that have been released. Yeah, I think it's redounded very badly to Vice's reputation, and discredited them, because especially YouTube viewers are increasingly savvy about video editing technology. They know how to do it themselves. They know what it looks like, and they're sick and tired of people editing content for clickbait, essentially.
Right.
And they know perfectly well that that's perverting the political dialogue. It's a complex form of lie.
What I find so funny is people on the left accuse you of that. And